The average American paid roughly $26,000 in rent last year to live somewhere they actively complain about. Add groceries, healthcare, and the small emotional fee of watching a paycheck evaporate before it clears, and the number climbs past 40,000. To live, not to thrive, just to exist inside a zip code that resents you back. You have been lied to. Every glossy magazine, every relocation podcast, every financial influencer with a ring light told you the answer is a spreadsheet. Cut back on the lattes, refinance, side hustle, as if the problem is you and not a country charging $3,000 a month for a shoebox with roommates. What if the real answer isn't a budget, it's a border? There's a town on the Portuguese coast where fresh fish costs €8 and the sun clocks in 300 days a year. There is an island nation where an entire year of healthcare costs less than one American emergency room visit. And there is a country in the North Atlantic so peaceful, the biggest crime story last year was, well, we will get to that. It involves a puffin. Think you know the best countries in the world? Not really. Because the ones the mainstream media loves to name are the ones you have already been priced out of. And the ones we are about to name are the ones your financial advisor will not mention. Because nobody gets a commission on you moving to Lisbon. Subscribe before the rent goes up again, because it will. And stick around for a country where the government literally pays parents to have coffee together. Let us break it down. Number 12, Costa Rica. Back in 1948, this small Central American nation did something no other country had done. It abolished its own military and used the savings to build schools and hospitals instead. Nearly 80 years later, quite a few of its citizens are still around to talk about it. Because Costa Rica also contains one of the 5 certified blue zones on Earth, a corner of the Nicoya Peninsula where reaching 100 is treated less like an achievement and more like a Tuesday. Life expectancy runs above 80 years, higher than the United States by more than 3. Cost of living sits roughly 40% below American averages. Universal healthcare, called Kaya, covers residents for a small monthly percentage of income. The national motto is Pura Vida, pure life, which functionally translates to please stop emailing me on a Sunday. The trade-offs are real. The roads have opinions, potholes deep enough to have their own weather systems. Bureaucracy that moves at the pace of a sleeping iguana, which is coincidentally what you will be staring at while waiting for your residency paperwork. And the rainy season is not a season so much as a personality disorder. 6 months of sun, 6 months of a sky that has decided today is laundry day for the entire Pacific Ocean. Would you trade a $2,000 rent bill for the occasional howler monkey at 5 in the morning? Drop your answer in the comments. Coming up at number 11, a country where the coffee is world-class and the property tax is basically a rounding error. Number 11, Portugal. Roughly half the world's cork comes from a single country on the Iberian Peninsula. Meaning the wine you drank last night was probably sealed by a Portuguese oak tree that is still alive and quietly resenting you. Portugal is also older than most modern nations by several centuries. The borders have not meaningfully changed since 1139. Cost of living runs about 35% lower than the United States. Rent outside Lisbon and Porto ranges from 600 to 900 euros for something that would run 3,000 in Boston. Healthcare is universal and ranks in the global top 20 for outcomes. The Algarve coast logs roughly 300 days of sunshine a year, which is more sun than most Americans see in a lifetime of vacation days. Add a booming Lisbon tech scene and a pastel de nata, so good some economists consider it a form of currency. The trade-offs. The bureaucracy runs on its own private time zone, one that is only loosely correlated with our calendar. A residency appointment scheduled for March can and will occur in October, and the person handling your paperwork will be genuinely confused why you seem stressed about this. The Portuguese language is not, contrary to what the guidebooks promised, a slightly sillier version of Spanish. It is its own beast, and one that has decided vowels are optional, and the letter R should be pronounced like a small motorcycle starting. Like this video, if you have ever daydreamed about eating a €2 pastel de nata by the sea. Next up at number 10, a country where the language is English, the fields are green, and the corporate taxes are hilariously low. Number 10. Ireland. There is only one country on the planet whose national symbol is a musical instrument, a harp to be exact. And that same country also happens to be home to the oldest licensed pub on Earth. The pub is called Sean's Bar in the town of Athlone, and it has been continuously pouring drinks since roughly the year 900. Someone bought a pint at that bar before the Normans invaded England. Ireland now sports one of the highest GDPs per capita on Earth, over 100,000 US dollars. Although a chunk of that is corporate accounting theater from tech giants domiciled there for tax reasons. Life expectancy runs about 82 years. Universal healthcare covers residents through a mixed public-private system. Unemployment sits under 5%. English is the working language, which for Americans removes roughly 900 hours of Duolingo pain from the relocation math. Trade-offs. The weather is not weather. It is a running joke that the sky is telling itself. You will experience 4 seasons in an afternoon and be expected to enjoy this. A summer day in Dublin means a high of 68 and a low of, quote, "Why did I move here?" Housing in Dublin has become genuinely brutal. Rents there rival New York while paying Irish salaries, which is a math problem nobody has solved. Comment below if you would trade sunshine for a proper pub. Coming up at number 9, a country where the healthcare system is so good. Other countries fly there just to steal the paperwork. Number 9, Taiwan. Roughly 90% of the world's most advanced computer chips are produced on a single island slightly smaller than Maryland. Meaning the phone in your pocket, the car in your driveway, and the missile the Pentagon worries about were all engineered in the same place. Taiwan also holds the world record for the largest single serving of bubble tea, weighing over 2,000 kilograms, because Taiwan is nothing if not committed to the bit. The Taiwanese healthcare system, called NHI, is regularly ranked the best on Earth. It costs residents roughly $20 per month and covers virtually everything, including dental, vision, and traditional Chinese medicine. A doctor's appointment costs about $5 out of pocket. That is not a typo. That is what happens when a country decides healthcare should not be a subscription service. Cost of living outside Taipei sits roughly 40% below American averages. The trade-offs. Summer humidity hits levels that can only be described as swimming through the air fully clothed. The typhoons are seasonal and enthusiastic. Earthquakes happen often enough that the buildings are engineered for them, and the people are engineered for them. And the only one caught off guard is the American who moved there from Ohio and thought the building shaking was the neighbors. And there is the small matter of a large neighbor to the north with strong opinions about Taiwan's sovereignty. Like this video if you would trade your $200 copay for a $5 doctor's visit. Next up at number 8, a country so small you can drive across it during your lunch break, and so rich it makes Switzerland look middle class. Number 8, Luxembourg. There is exactly one Grand Duchy left on the planet. A fancy way of saying it is ruled by a Grand Duke, which is a fancier way of saying its head of state has a job title that sounds like a Dungeons & Dragons character. Luxembourg is also small enough that you can hear all 3 of its official languages spoken in a single cafe: French, German, and Luxembourgish, because one national language is apparently for amateurs. The country holds the highest GDP per capita on Earth, over 140,000 US dollars. Minimum wage sits at over 2,600 euros a month. Public transportation across the entire country is free, a policy passed in 2020, making Luxembourg the first nation to do so. Universal healthcare, free schooling, life expectancy above 82 years. And the country sits inside the Schengen zone, meaning you can drive to France for lunch, Germany for dinner, and Belgium for a nightcap without ever showing a passport. Trade-offs. Housing is punishing. Rent for a modest apartment in Luxembourg City runs 2,000 euros a month easily, because everyone wants to live in a fairy tale, and the fairy tale is small. The tax code is a labyrinth designed by accountants who were, presumably, being punished. Social integration takes patience. Luxembourgers themselves are a small share of the population, and the expat community can feel a bit like a corporate LinkedIn conference that never ends. And the country is landlocked, so if you love the ocean, your closest beach is a 5-hour drive to Belgium, where the water is gray and vaguely disappointed. Subscribe if you have never heard of a country with free national transit. There are more surprises where that came from. Next up at number 7, a city that has topped livability rankings for so many years, other cities have simply stopped trying. Number 7, Austria. Vienna, Austria's capital, has been named the world's most livable city for so many years in a row that when it finally lost the top spot, it lost it to itself. The runner-up cities keep being ones the same rankings named number 1 the year before. Austria is also the country that gave the world Mozart, Freud, Arnold Schwarzenegger, and a chocolate cake so serious it once caused a 7-year lawsuit over who owned the recipe. That is not a joke. It is called the Sweet War of Vienna, and Austrians talk about it with straight faces. Life expectancy runs above 81 years. Universal healthcare covers residents through a social insurance system. Cost of living outside Vienna sits about 20% below the American average. Rent inside Vienna itself remains shockingly affordable thanks to a century-old social housing program that keeps a huge share of the city's units below market rate. Beyond the capital, you get actual Alps, ski villages in Tyrol, lakes in Salzkammergut so clear the fish look photoshopped. Trade-offs. The Austrian bureaucracy treats paperwork as a form of endurance sport. You will fill out forms. You will fill out forms about the forms. There will be a form for the forms about the forms, and it will need to be notarized. The German language, in its Austrian dialect, is beautiful right up until you try to order a coffee and discover that Vienna alone has 11 distinct terms for what is functionally the same drink, and using the wrong one identifies you as a foreigner within syllables. And the tax burden is real. Top marginal rates hit 55%. Share this with the friend who has always wanted to move to Europe and never pulled the trigger. Next up at number 6, a city-state where the streets are so clean it feels like a movie set. And the fines for chewing gum are, well, they are memorable. Number 6, Singapore. There is one country on Earth that has effectively banned the sale of chewing gum since 1992. A policy passed after its metro system kept getting stuck because people were sticking gum to the doors. Singapore is also the only place where the government runs an official matchmaking agency because the birth rate got so low that officials decided romance was a public utility. It works about as well as you would expect a government dating app to work. Singapore is regularly ranked the second safest country on Earth. GDP per capita sits above $84,000 US. The healthcare system is a hybrid of private and public that ranks in the world's top 10. English is one of 4 official languages and the working language of business and daily life. Tax rates are famously low. Top personal income tax caps at 22%. Streets are safer at midnight than most American suburbs are at noon, and hawker centers serve Michelin-starred food for $5 Singapore dollars. Trade-offs. The heat is not a season. It is a permanent condition. 90 degrees, 90% humidity, 365 days a year. You do not sweat in Singapore, you rust. The cost of living is brutal. Housing is among the most expensive on Earth. And owning a car requires purchasing a permit that can cost more than the car itself, which is not a metaphor. It is a policy called the Certificate of Entitlement. And the civil liberties conversation is real. Free speech has limits. The press is tightly controlled. Singapore trades a lot of American-style freedom for a level of order that many find refreshing and some find claustrophobic. Like this video, if you would trade a little chaos for a lot of clean. Coming up at number 5. A country where the average commute is by bicycle, and the average person is roughly 6 feet tall. Number 5. The Netherlands. There is a small country in Western Europe with more bicycles than people. Roughly 23 million bikes for 18 million residents, to be exact. The Dutch are also the tallest people on Earth on average, standing over 6 feet for men, which scientists believe is a combination of genetics and the sheer amount of dairy the country produces. And roughly a third of the country sits below sea level, held back by a system of dikes and pumps so sophisticated that Dutch water management engineers are essentially the world's most in-demand consultants for climate change adaptation. Life expectancy runs above 82 years. The Netherlands consistently ranks in the top 5 of the World Happiness Report. Universal healthcare through mandatory private insurance costs residents roughly €150 a month, and pediatric care is fully free. Work-life balance is baked into law. The average work week is under 30 hours, the shortest in the developed world. And part-time work is a fully respected career track, not a compromise. Trade-offs. The weather is gray, not occasionally gray, aggressively, ideologically gray. The sun makes cameo appearances in summer and files a restraining order the rest of the year. Housing is a crisis. Amsterdam's rental market is so tight that people apply for apartments the way they apply for graduate school. The Dutch communication style is famously direct, which means asking a Dutch person how you look in an outfit is a decision that will haunt you. And integrating into Dutch social circles is a project measured in years, not months. Comment if you would give up your car for a bike. Next up at number 4, a country where the average person lives to 84 and the crime rate is so low, some police stations have closed for lack of work. Number 4, Japan. The longest human life expectancy on Earth belongs to one country, above 84 years, with women averaging nearly 87. That country is Japan, and it also contains a blue zone in Okinawa, where reaching 90 is unremarkable and centenarians run marathons. There is a village in the mountains called Nagoro where the population is under 30 humans, and the residents have replaced their departed neighbors with life-size dolls arranged around the village. It is beautiful and slightly haunting, and 100% real. The Japanese healthcare system is universal, low-cost, and world-class. A doctor's visit runs about $10 US. Cost of living outside Tokyo sits roughly 30% below American averages. The Shinkansen bullet train's average annual delay is measured in seconds per year. Picture this. It is 6 in the morning in Kyoto. Fog lifts off a temple garden. A monk sweeps a stone path in perfect silence. A vending machine down the street is quietly dispensing a hot coffee to a salaryman on his way to catch a train that will not, under any circumstances, be late. Somewhere in the mountains, a bathhouse fills with steam, and the only sound is water on cedar. Trade-offs. The overwork culture is real and it is punishing. There is a word, karoshi, that translates to death by overwork, and it is used by the government in official statistics. Housing outside major cities can be shockingly cheap, but housing inside Tokyo is a small closet with a large price tag. The language barrier is genuine. Japanese has 3 writing systems, and none of them are optional. And the immigration system is famously careful. Japan does not roll out the red carpet for newcomers. Subscribe because we are almost at the top 3. Coming up at number 3, an island where the biggest police blotter story last year was, and this is verified, a runaway sheep. Number 3, Iceland. There is one country that has topped the Global Peace Index every single year for over a decade. Uninterrupted, which is not a stat. It is a dynasty. The country has no standing army. Its capital's police force does not carry firearms as a matter of routine. And the last fatal shooting by an Icelandic officer occurred in 2013. And the officers involved received counseling because the whole country was upset about it. 54% of Icelanders report they either believe in elves or refuse to rule them out. And road construction has been rerouted around specific rocks believed to be elf homes. That is a public works policy. In a modern developed economy, Iceland has a population of roughly 380,000, smaller than most American mid-sized cities, spread across an island the size of Kentucky. Life expectancy runs above 83 years. Universal health care is funded through taxation and consistently produces top 10 outcomes. GDP per capita sits above $72,000 US. 99% of the country's electricity comes from renewable sources, geothermal and hydro. The tap water is so pure that bottled water is a running joke played on tourists. Picture this. It is 2 in the morning in June and the sun has not set. A hot spring steams next to a black sand beach. Somewhere behind you, a waterfall the size of an office building thunders into a canyon. A single sheep watches you with the confidence of an animal that has never once feared a predator. In the distance, a puffin awkwardly attempts flight, fails, and tries again with the persistence of a small feathered comedian. Trade-offs. Winter darkness is a genuine mental health challenge. Parts of the country get 4 hours of daylight in December. And seasonal affective disorder is treated as a public health issue. The cost of living is famously brutal. Iceland is one of the most expensive countries in Europe, and a modest meal out will run you $30 US easily. Groceries are punishing because most food is imported. The population is so small that Icelanders have an app to check if the person they are dating is a distant relative. Which is not a joke, it is a real feature called Islendinga app. And the weather has a legendary phrase. If you do not like it, wait 5 minutes, at which point it will be dramatically worse. Like this video, if you have ever wanted to live somewhere, the biggest crime story was a sheep. Coming up at number 2, a country where the mountains are so beautiful, tourists forget to breathe, and the healthcare system quietly outperforms nearly every peer on Earth. Number 2, Switzerland. The world's largest particle accelerator is buried under farmland outside Geneva, where scientists at a facility called CERN routinely smash atoms and occasionally discover new physics before lunch. Switzerland also gave the world milk chocolate, the World Wide Web, that was CERN too, and Velcro. The country has 4 official languages and holds a national referendum roughly every 3 months on issues ranging from cow horn design to whether billionaires should exist. Direct democracy all the way down. Life expectancy in Switzerland runs above 84 years, among the highest on Earth. The healthcare system is a hybrid private mandatory model that consistently ranks in the world's top 5 for outcomes. GDP per capita sits above $95,000 US. Unemployment is under 3%. Corruption ranks among the lowest on the planet. Swiss trains, buses, and boats run on a coordinated timetable so precise that the country jokes about setting its watches to public transit rather than the other way around. Picture this. It is early morning in the Bernese Oberland. Fog lifts off a lake so still it looks like glass with a mountain reflected in it. A cable car quietly hums up a cliff face toward a village where the population is smaller than the goat herd. A bakery is opening. The smell of butter and dark bread drifts through cobbled streets. Somewhere above the tree line, a train punches through a mountain tunnel completed in 1913, still running on time. Trade-offs. Switzerland is the most expensive country on Earth to live in, full stop. A modest meal out in Zurich runs 40 Swiss francs. A studio apartment in Geneva starts at $2,000 a month. Groceries will make you laugh out loud in the store. An American brand of cereal can cost $15 a box for reasons the Swiss have never adequately explained. The Swiss social style is famously reserved, and integrating into a Swiss friend group can take literal years, not months. And the country has a whole set of unwritten rules about noise. No loud activities after 10 at night, no lawn mowing on Sundays, and famously, no flushing the toilet after 10 p.m. in some rental buildings, which is a myth that Swiss people love to deny, while also, when pressed, admitting is technically enforceable. Share this with a friend who thinks they cannot afford Switzerland. They probably cannot, but dreams are free. Coming up at number 1, a country that has been named the happiest on Earth more times than any other nation, where the government pays parents to take walks together, and where the concept of coziness is quite literally in the Constitution. Number 1, Denmark. The concept of hygge, pronounced hygge, was invented here. It is a lifestyle philosophy centered on coziness, candlelight, and the aggressive refusal to be stressed. The Danes also gave the world Lego, Hans Christian Andersen, and the modern wind turbine. and Denmark's national flag, the Dannebrog, is the oldest continuously used national flag on the planet, dating to 1219. Denmark has more bicycles than cars, and the capital, Copenhagen, is on track to become the first carbon-neutral major city on Earth. The country is also home to a bridge that connects it to Sweden and doubles as a rail line, and yes, it was the location of a famously grim Scandinavian television series. Denmark has ranked in the top 2 of the World Happiness Report for over a decade, trading first place back and forth with Finland, like a friendly rivalry. Life expectancy runs above 81 years, universal healthcare is fully tax-funded and consistently produces top-tier outcomes, university tuition is free, paid parental leave hits over a year, split between parents. The average work week is under 33 hours. Public transit is comprehensive, and Copenhagen is famously walkable and bikeable in a way American cities can only dream of. Picture this. It is October in Copenhagen. The light comes in low and gold across a canal lined with pastel townhouses. A cafe window fogs from the warmth of the room, and through that fog, you can just make out someone eating a pastry the size of their face, drinking coffee, reading a novel, and doing exactly none of the things you have been guilted into calling productive. Outside, a parent bikes past with 2 children in a cargo bike, and neither the parent nor the children are wearing helmets. Because Denmark has decided the roads should be safe enough that the helmet is optional. Somewhere in a public park, a group of new fathers pushes strollers together as part of a state-funded program that literally pays parents to take coffee breaks with each other, because Denmark decided isolation was a public health issue. Trade-offs. Taxes are famously high. Top marginal rates exceed 55%, and the value-added tax on consumer goods is 25%. The Danish language is a running joke, even among other Scandinavians, for being nearly impossible to pronounce correctly. Danes themselves sometimes mumble to spare the effort. The winter is dark and long, though Danes have built an entire cultural aesthetic around making darkness feel intimate rather than depressing. Housing in Copenhagen is expensive and hard to find, and the Danish social scene is, like most Nordic countries, a slow burn. Friendships take patience, and small talk is treated as a form of low-grade social crime. But here is the thing. Denmark has been named the happiest, second happiest, or first runner-up happiest country in the world nearly every year of the past 15. The Danes are not happy because things are cheap. They are happy because a society decided to invest in its people rather than extract from them. That is not a policy. That is a worldview. The best country to live in is not a math problem. It is a values problem. Every nation on this list decided at some point that ordinary people deserved a shot at a decent life, that healthcare was a right, that transit was worth funding, that a bike could be a car, that a park bench with a stranger was worth a tax dollar. That is what we are actually comparing. When we compare these countries, it is not GDP. It is what a country chooses to do with it. Like this video, if you learned about a country you had not seriously considered before, subscribe because we are doing the best places to live inside the United States next. And you will want to see which small towns beat the countries on this list on cost of living. And share this with that one friend who keeps saying they are going to move abroad and never does. Maybe this is the year. Stay smart, stay subscribed. And whatever you do, stop paying $3,000 a month to live somewhere that does not love you back.